Hi everyone, my name is Taluka from Markers and Minions, and this is my Benchmark Facebook group. Today is Sunday, so every Sunday evening I film live videos at 4 p.m. and normally they are Plan With Me videos. So today is episode 11 of Plan With Me, and we'll be going over Unit 7 and just going over the unit. We won't be breaking down the weeks until next week. I'm currently still working on Unit 5 projects in my classroom. And then I'm also kind of working on Unit 6. We're kind of skipping around. We're reading and focusing on Unit 6 for language arts. And so I'm not ready for Unit 7 yet, but I see that a lot of people are. So I thought that I would just go ahead and get a head start with just the unit today. Welcome, new members, before I begin. There are a few areas that I want you to check out in our group. There is a toolbar on the left-hand side of our group, and there's a Files tab and a Photos tab and a Videos tab. So you can find all the videos that have been uploaded, all of the photos, and a lot of resources that people have shared. If you're specifically looking for ways to introduce units, the photo albums are a great place to start. I just made a photo album just for unit introductions. We tend to use a lot of charts in this group. So that is new there. The other thing that you should check out is the search bar within the group. You can search within our closed benchmark group any topic, so Unit 7 introduction, or whatever it is, small groups, and a lot of good conversations will come up. You'll get a lot of good ideas. So this planning template is free. I've put the link in the caption. I've recently updated this. So if you don't have the most current version, go ahead and just click re-download. It's a zip file now, so there's going to be K1 separate from 2.6, so it's just easier to find that way. Hi, Elise, thank you. Yes, I had a very nice break last weekend. For the long weekend, I froze the group, which was the first time ever since starting it back in August. I froze it so that I wouldn't get any notifications all weekend long, and it was a nice weekend. We did a lot of day trips last weekend, and thank you. This was a gift from my friend. Okay, what else is new? So these are new. I worked on these this week. I also worked on adding, if you have these bookmarks with the text-dependent questions, I added an additional page at the beginning of the file. And it's just lines. So if your kids need more space to write their answers, at this point in the year, maybe their answers are getting a little bit more detailed. So there's that extra page in there. You can just cut that out, staple it to this. It's the same width and length, same dimensions. And then if you've got the booklets, the writing booklets, these guys, I've also included a page at the beginning of the file that has just lines. So first grade already had that, but I went ahead and included that for the other grades too, if your kids are using more space and drafting longer than this. Thanks, Christine. You guys are sweet. It's good to be back. All right. I think that's everything that is new. So I opened up all the tabs on my computer for each grade level for Unit 7 so that I could go over the essential questions. We can see how the concept for Unit 7 grows and builds on itself from K through 6. So we can look for common themes, and this is something that I like to do at the beginning of each unit. See what the themes are, what the essential question is, and what the focus is for each grade level. And then from there, I plan an introduction of some sort. And so all those intro charts are inspired by, basically those essential questions. And then I go through and scan the selections and see what they're focusing on. Sometimes I'll read what types of questions are being asked of the kids, because sometimes these questions have some of the themes that are important. So yeah, let's get started. Kinder is, and let me see if I can copy paste. Maybe I should put this in the comments. Kinder, your essential question is, why do we celebrate people and events? Close that. Okay, so it focuses on, it looks like holidays, celebrations, so basic culture. First grade goes to, why is the past important? So talking about past, present, and future within looking at historical events and people to understand how the past affects the present and the future. Okay, so we're taking that kinder concept of people and events, maybe even, and then building on that. For second grade, how does understanding the past shape the future? So that connection, very similar to first. And now third grade, we shift a little bit. What is a community? And I'm putting these in the comments for you all too. Fourth grade, we go to how do communities evolve? And fifth, how does conflict shape a society? Be interesting. Okay, and sixth grade, why do we consider certain civilizations great? So going back to those ancient civilizations, it looks like analyzing those, looking at culture again. Okay. The common themes help me plan my intro chart, so I'm glad you're doing that today. Yes, me too. I already have some ideas for what I want to do for an intro chart, but I want to hear everyone else's ideas as well. Back when I taught second grade, one of our social studies standards, this and third grade too, is like communities then and now. So it's kind of perfect for this. And one thing I used to do was do this whole study on our neighborhood, our community, and then we take them to our local community museum afterwards. So we already have that booked. Our field trip is in April. So as long as I'm done with Unit 7 by April, we're good. Okay. Hi, Michelle. Michelle says, what's an intro chart? I'm a newbie. So I really like to use like anchor charts in my teaching. So I always make an introduction chart before I jump into the unit, before we read the stories or anything like that. And I just talk about the basic overall themes and concepts that they're going to be focusing on in that unit. And so far, it's looking like in Unit 7, it's going to be like communities and culture and people. So I usually create these charts that I can reference throughout the entire unit. And the way that I do it is I write everything in pencil, and then as I'm teaching it, I'll go over it with my markers. And then it makes a nice bulletin board too. Oh, all right. We put a desk out in our front yard. Looks like someone's snagging it. I don't have to call bulky items. All right. Hi, Nina. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Amanda. Hi, friends. So I'm just filling out the essential question. and I'm doing third grade because I teach third. What is a community? Michelle, I also made a unit introduction chart photo album so you can see all of the past charts that we've made starting with Unit 1. All right, so now that I have my essential question, I want to break down actually before I break down the skills, let's look at the selections specifically for third. We've got exploring my community. So basic, what is a community? What makes a community? A new life in Vermont. Miguel's parents have divorced, and Miguel, age 10, his mother and his younger sister, Dominican Republic. Okay, so culture. We have the Mission District, where it talks about community in San Francisco. Then the extended read for week 2 is all kinds of community. It looks like more culture is going to be, culture is going to be brought into this. Jobs, which ties into what I like to do for my social studies unit. This is America, all places in America. Then we've got the excerpt from Sarah Plain and Tall. So Michelle says it sounds like a focus board. Yeah, it's definitely like, there's the chart and it's everything that you're focusing on. So you could throw up like your spelling and all that around it too. It makes for a good bulletin that the kids can reference. And it's not under files, but it's under photos, and then click on albums, and it's organized in its own album. All right, personal connection there for that story. You can bring in some neat pictures. Okay, so I'm going to just throw out some keywords here that I think are going to be important. I don't have a space for it. I'll just write it down here. Culture, community, interdependence. I'll probably use that word when teaching. Interdependence. And then these words down here are just kind of helping me brainstorm what I might want to put onto my chart. The unit introduction charts are also really good for vocabulary that you think you're going to be using throughout the unit, so you don't have to explain it a million times. It's up there. And then maybe like evolve. All right, let's see. So what I'm thinking, I wish I had another piece of paper, but what I'm thinking for my chart is doing something like this. In the middle, I'm just going to do it on this little 8.5 by 11. In the middle, I'm going to put our town's, logo. We have our own little logo here in our town. Town logo / name, and then in the middle is where I might define what community is. Or since my third graders know what that is, maybe have them come up with some kind of fun definition for there. Thanks, Audrey. Amanda says, for third grade teachers, will anyone be doing the novel study in lieu of Unit 7 or in addition to the Unit 7 close reads? Okay, so novel studies is something that comes up all the time. I've never done them. There's one novel per grade level, and it's not every grade level. I think it starts in second or third. And it's for third grade specifically, it's under Unit 7. And it's under Unit 4 for another grade, it's under Unit 5 for another grade. Okay, so it's like all over the place. You can do it in lieu of your regular lessons. And then I've been told, I haven't checked it out, I just haven't really considered doing those yet. But I've been told that you open it up and it opens up on the computer as like one of your small readers, and it's under the small group tab. That's where you'll find it. And you'll click it, you'll open it up, and then there's usually the green apple with the teacher resources. Someone said there was a wheel. So you click on that and it's got lesson plans. I don't know how detailed they are. I don't know if there's pacing or anything. But it's my understanding, and I might be wrong, but it's my understanding that you can do those in place of your other stories in your unit. And then, yeah, all the kids have access to it digitally, and I know some people like to buy the hard copies so that they can annotate. And I think the Tornado is the one for Unit 7 for third grade, and someone posted that that was on sale for $1 on Scholastic. So what comes to mind to add to my chart is the D&C. Oh, yeah. Depth and complexity icons. Great idea. Bring in the change over time, or like the evolution sign. I took out all my icons for Unit 5, all the ones, there were like 5 of them that worked well for technology and innovation, and then I forgot to weave them in the entire time. So I'm going to write that down. I don't want to forget that. Depth and complexity. Change over time icon. So I'll add that to our intro chart. The lessons for these novels, Amanda says the lessons are very detailed and it's planned out over a 3-week period. Perfect. And then Carol says, I'm pretty sure that the digital novels do not have the audio, just so you know. Yeah, I think you're right about that. So the kids won't be able to listen to it. All right. So then I might take I'll have one category be culture. So these intro charts have like different big categories that you weave through that will apply to every single story you read. So after you read a story, let's connect it back to our chart. It seems like culture is going to be brought up in every single one. Community will be brought up in every single one. This should really be a different color down here, not black. Just outline it with blue. What else could we use? And then evolve. And you can go into why do communities evolve? Societies evolve? What happens to make them evolve, if you want to go there. What I was thinking, since this examines past and present as well, was doing some sort of like split. Maybe I'll shift all this up and then have the bottom half be a split specifically for our town. In the past, our town where we live was built on aircraft industry. Entertainment, and maybe even rail. I don't know. We might have to do some research there. I can't remember now. I used to have like 4 or 5 categories that our town was kind of known for, like what drove people to immigrate to our town and settle here, and then talk about how that has evolved to the present. And then this is a great, I was thinking of like printing out photos, and it's kind of a great way to, as you're talking about the different aspects of your community, you can throw up old pictures here and present pictures from current day here. So I might do something like that as well to show the contrast. And then it's kind of, it segues into cause and effect, which I haven't looked at the lessons yet, but I'm sure that's going to be a skill. Okay, let's see. So as soon as I make my chart, I will share it and I'll upload it to the Unit 7 album and the Introduction Chart album, both of them. Many of us live in LA. Many of us live in areas of Northern California, and there's a big presence down in like San Diego area. So if anyone is going to do this idea of showing the past and the present and how it has evolved, if you do any research on your town or find any cool pictures or articles or whatever that you can bring into the classroom, feel free to also share on the group, because I'm sure other people would appreciate that being done. All right. What are you guys thinking for intro? If you're doing the novel study, how are you going to introduce that? Or are you going to just jump into it? I've actually, to be honest, haven't heard of that novel for 3rd grade. All right, as those come in, I'm going to start this. So I am going to focus on the close reading skills first and map those out for week 1, week 2, and week 3. And I'm going to use the week 1, week 2, week 3 outline in the TRS. Normally I like to print it off from the weekly presentations view, but I didn't remember to do that this time. Okay, so week 1 for 3rd grade, it's going to be key details and main idea because it is an informational piece. Analyze author's point of view. That sounds like it will be review. Short read 2 is key events and summarizing. So it's a fictional text. This unit is 50-50, I believe. Informational and lit. Summarizing. And then we've got draw inferences from character actions. So character actions and character point of view is review from Unit 2 and Unit 6. I don't know if any of you have begun to start noticing that there's so much that is spiraling. The kids are picking up on it. So we're in Unit 6 right now, and my kids are like, oh, this is just like, you know, when we read about Cinderella's bad day back in Unit 2 or Unit 4 and like things like that. So the kids are really picking up on the fact that these are spiraling now. And then we've also got interpret graphic features, so analyze story illustrations, which we did a lot with the Ballad of John Henry. Remember those back in Unit 2 or 4, one of those? The story illustrations. Okay, here's what I've got for week 1. Yeah, so some of us are undecided as to whether or not to do the novel study instead still. Let us know how it goes. I think it was 5th grade that did Esperanza Rising for their novel study a few units back, and it seemed like it was popular. It was a hit. Okay, week 2 is that extended read, all kinds of communities, and that is informational, so that's going to be key details and main idea. And then close reading, analyze maps, photos, and captions. So it's text and graphic features. And then we've also got analyze author's point of view. So week 1 and week 2 is going to have, aside from the key details, that's always the same, both of them are going to be looking at graphics, and both of them are going to be looking at the author's point of view. One is character, one is authors, I think. Oh no, they're both authors. POV. And week 3. Oh, that sounds cool. Julie says, we do a timeline of the development of our community. We start long ago with the Native Americans inhabiting the land and end with something in the present. I assign one event to each kid. They love it and goes well with our HSS standards. That sounds fun. So maybe at the bottom here, instead of doing like a split, you could do a timeline. That's fun. We just did a timeline for Unit 5, so that would be a nice way to tie in that skill. Timeline for development of community. Cool. All right, I got that. Week 3 is the excerpt. So it's key events and summarizing. Which my partner teacher was like, you've got to just do for summarizing, the somebody wanted but, so that thing that you always see on Pinterest. And I've never tried that before. And we did it for one of the stories from Unit 6 last week, and it was so much easier to summarize. Genre features of historical fiction. Story illustrations again, and then draw inferences from character actions again. Okay. Draw inferences. Story illustrations is week 1 and week 3. And then graphic features week 2. Okay. That's what I've got. Spelling. Week 1, it looks like suffixes, ER and OR. Week 2, and I'm just looking down here under word study, by the way, for anyone who can't find spelling. It's under word study. That word study is that short text at the end of the week. And I love that because it's full of your spelling pattern. And so you can just have the kids go through and highlight quickly with them by themselves or with a partner. Or you could do something more interactive where you just put a word sort up on your whiteboard and the kids find words and go up and get a marker and just kind of add it to your whiteboard. There's a lot of things you can do with that. You can push that into a center if you want, a small group. And I also like it because it's always connected to whatever you're reading about. So it's on topic. It kind of just adds a little, it enhances your week's stories. Week 2, the word study, the phonics skill is homophones. And week 3, variant vowel. Ah. Can you repeat what you said about summarizing? So there's an activity you can do, and I've seen it on Pinterest. I think it's all over the place. It's just like somebody and then blank, wanted, blank, but, blank, so, blank, and then the last one is then, maybe, then, blank. And so after reading the story, like we just read The Fox and the Geese for Unit 6, 3rd grade, and it was like the fox is the somebody. The fox wanted to eat the geese, but the geese came up with a plan, so the fox kept waiting and waiting and waiting for them to stop singing. Then the geese didn't die, or it was something like that. It was really easy when you just filled in those blanks. Christy, in your photos, could you take a picture of the page you are working off of? I am in 4th, but I must have a different version because I'm not seeing the week summary the same as you. So 4th grade should look like this. I have updated it a little bit in the last week because the reason why is because I made one more specific for kinder and first. And so I kind of just cleaned this up too. But it should be the same categories here. But I will certainly take a picture of this, and I'll make a Unit 7 album, and I'll upload it. If I have any K1 teachers watching right now, let me know. I'll show you what I added for K1. I made a whole unit overview for kinder and first. Okay, language or the grammar skill. So that's going to be found in your writing lesson. It's usually under the drafting lesson. So look under Write to Sources. And drafting is going to be lesson 12. I'm also going to look at lesson 9 because it says use linking words and phrases. So that could be what the skill is. But I'm going to look at 9 and 12 for week 1 and see what the build language topic is. Skill. Okay, so I'm looking at lesson 9, the use linking words and phrases. But lesson 12 is going to have, okay, here we go. So here's lesson 12, the drafting lesson. And then it says build language, reciprocal pronouns. Normally that is going to match up to your spelling, language, and vocabulary activity worksheets that are found online under the practice tab, or sometimes the district has purchased the consumable versions of it or whatever, but it's available under the practice tab for everybody. They're just black lines for added practice. I like to introduce the grammar skill on Monday instead of waiting until lesson 12 or later in the week. That way the kids can be practicing the skill throughout the week in their small groups. So normally that matches up, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so reciprocal pronouns. Let's see. Oh, okay, so 4th grade and you're not seeing this in the TRS. So it's going to be at the start of your unit, you've got this insert, and it's going to be the first page. I know in the younger grades it looks different. It's not by week, it's by day. But then once you get to 3rd, it should be consistent, 3rd through 6th. Oh my gosh, guys, I didn't plan. How could I have made this mistake? I didn't plug in my computer, and now it's telling me it's going to die. There's this view in the TRS, and then there's also the weekly presentations view, which I prefer. It puts the lessons in order from lesson 1 to 15, whereas this is going to group it by like topic or story rather, and then the lessons are kind of all over the place. So it just kind of depends on what you prefer. I think I see my charger. I'm going to try to do some plugging in a second. For week 2, drafting is not till lesson 13. And it says conventions, review English language conventions. And then for week 3, the drafting lesson is lesson 13. And I, for one, am happy to get back to the regular writing for the week instead of these research writing lessons from Unit 6. Those are kind of hard. Parts of speech. Okay. My book looks a little different. My book does not look exactly like that. We only adopted it this year. When did you guys get yours? Oh, well, maybe yours is more updated. Ours is 2-3 years old. And it's California. So I know there's variations based on state too. Okay, hold on, guys. Aha. Like 5,000 chords. Whew! The message went away. I made it. All right. Okay, Elise says, mine looks like Toluca's and we got it this year. And she's in California. Writing. So this is where I'm at. Week 1. Excuse me. Write an essay in which you compare and contrast. So that's going to be an informational. Week 2. Write a dramatic scene. So it's going to be a narrative. Write a dramatic scene in which these characters talk about their community. So they're taking characters from the different stories we've read and writing a play. And then week... Ah, okay, I'm in Kansas. And then Michelle says, I'm not in California and mine looks different too. There are different benchmark advance. Yeah, different versions. I always plan using the California version, so there's going to be variations there. Sorry. And then week 3 is opinion. Of course, that's the only one left. I didn't even have to look at that. And now the bottom part that says vocabulary, I saw context clues for week 1. Which I'll write that down, but really I do context clues every week after reading anything. No vocabulary focus, it looks like, for week 2. Week 3, nothing. So there you go. In addition to these close reading skills, these lessons, there's going to be that lesson 14, which is always lesson 14 or lesson 15? Lesson 14. It's going to be that last one, and you're comparing and contrasting something using the 2 texts that you've read. So it's some sort of compare contrast. That's it, guys. So unless there are a few questions, I'll wait a couple minutes for any questions. But other than that, otherwise, looks like we're done for this week. I remember I took for social studies, I took the different industries in our community, and I assigned small groups a different industry, just like a little write-up that I did on each one, and then they had to come up with some sort of like thinking map, because back then we still use thinking maps, but they filled out a thinking map about that aspect of the community, and then they came up to they presented to the class and kind of taught the class about their part of our town. And then you can do some compare contrast there. You can tie in some Kagan strategies. You're welcome, Audrey. My pleasure. But I love that idea of the timeline. It's going to require some research on our community. All right, guys. I'm going to head over to my mom's, meet my daughter and my husband, and have some dinner. So I will see you next week. I will upload these pictures, and if we do anything fun in my class, I will take pictures and share. And I encourage you guys to do the same. Oh, yeah, Tina, you just reminded me. It's conference week. Yay! Elise, is next week going to be a planning session? Yeah, I'll go into breaking down the weeklies. I think that's all that I really can do at this point anymore. I don't know if there's any sort of Q&As that I can do. I used to do a plan with me, and then the next Sunday I would do like just a general Q&A type video, and then another plan with me. But I'm starting to just do plan with me's every Sunday because it seems like we've all got this figured out together. A lot less questions now. And I've noticed, one of the group rules is like no complaining, or unless you have like if you're seeking advice, and you can totally complain and then seek advice. But in the beginning, when I started the group, people would come into the group and just post, the horrible things and not try to be open-minded. And I used to have to like really moderate that. And I don't have to as much anymore. And it's because we're all working together and we're figuring it out. So that's awesome. All right, guys. Have a good week. If you're doing conferences, good luck. I hope they are pleasant and easy. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.